welcome to What Science is Hiding from You. It's a Viral Impact AI production. And today we're doing a deep dive into near-death experiences. We got this awesome interview with Dr. Luján Comas. She's like the expert in this field. I'm so ready to hear this.
Yeah, and you know what's really interesting about her? She's a medical doctor too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she specializes in anesthesiology and resuscitation.
Wow.
So she's literally dealing with life and death every single day.
That's intense. It makes her perspective on this stuff even more fascinating. So how does she approach studying NDEs? Like, what makes it unique?
Well, she's very specific. She focuses on the NDEs that happen in controlled hospital settings.
Okay.
Places where they can verify clinical death.
So like no heartbeat, no breathing.
Exactly. No reflexes, nothing.
Gotcha. Why is that so important?
Because it helps separate the real NDEs from other stuff.
Ah, okay.
Like vivid dreams or hallucinations.
Right. So it kind of gives us a clearer picture of what might actually be going on.
Exactly.
So for those of us who maybe aren't as familiar with NDEs, like, what are some of the key things people experience?
So people who have had NDEs often report really similar things.
Really?
Yeah, and this is the cool part. It doesn't matter what their background is or where they're from, the stories are consistent.
Oh, wow. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, the common things are like leaving their body, seeing a bright light,
Okay.
feeling overwhelming peace and love, and sometimes even communicating with people who have passed away.
You know, it's funny when you hear those things, it sounds kind of familiar, like you've heard it before.
Yeah.
Almost like in movies or TV shows. But I've always wondered, couldn't that stuff just be hallucinations? You know, from lack of oxygen or something?
A lot of people think that, but Dr. Comas actually has some pretty strong arguments against it.
Really?
Yeah, because, you know, hallucinations are usually pretty random.
Right.
Different for everyone. But NDEs, they have these shared characteristics across different cultures and time periods.
Okay, yeah, that makes it seem like something more might be happening.
Right. It suggests there's something deeper going on.
So is there any scientific evidence to support that idea? Like that NDEs are more than just hallucinations?
She points to cases where patients have accurately recalled specific details from the operating room while they were clinically dead.
No way. So they remember things they couldn't have possibly known.
Exactly. It's hard to explain that with just hallucinations.
That's crazy. So if it's not just a hallucination, how does science even begin to make sense of it? Like, what could be happening during an NDE?
This is where it gets really interesting, especially if you're into the whole science and spirituality connection. Dr. Comas thinks that new theories in quantum physics might hold some answers.
Quantum physics. All right, that sounds way over my head.
It can be, but there's this concept called non-local consciousness.
Non-local consciousness. Okay, break that down for me.
So basically, it's the idea that consciousness isn't limited to just your brain. Quantum physics suggests there might be a deeper level of reality beyond what we normally perceive.
Okay.
And Dr. Comas thinks consciousness could exist on that level, like independent of our physical body.
Whoa, so she's saying our consciousness could exist outside of our brains.
That's the idea.
That's mind-blowing.
Right.
It's like totally different from how we usually think about things.
It really is.
So how does that apply to NDEs?
Well, it could explain how people have these clear, vivid experiences even when their brain isn't active.
Wow, this is heavy stuff.
It is.
So if consciousness can exist outside our brain, then what happens after we die?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, people have been wondering about that forever. But Dr. Comas's research adds this whole new dimension to the conversation.
Totally.
If consciousness can exist without the brain, then it could keep going, even after the physical body is gone.
That's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is. You know, we were talking about how Dr. Comas seems to have this deeper connection to something beyond the ordinary. Well, she actually shares a story from her childhood that kind of shows this.
Oh. Tell me about it.
So as a young girl, she could just know things about people she'd never even met.
What kind of things?
Their names, random details about their lives, even their emotions. It was like she had this intuition, like this deep knowing that was beyond, you know, the five senses.
It's wild. It makes you wonder if we're all born with that, you know? Like this deeper level of awareness that we just lose as we grow up.
Maybe. Dr. Comas thinks that she lost a lot of that intuitive ability as she got older. She thinks it's because of, like, society's emphasis on logic and reason.
I could see that.
But that experience as a kid, it really stuck with her. It sparked this curiosity about consciousness that she carried with her, you know, into her work as a doctor.
It's amazing how those early experiences can shape our interests,
Yeah.
But I think you mentioned she had another experience later in life that really solidified her interest in NDEs.
Oh, yeah. This one's even weirder. It happened when she was driving late at night on this remote mountain road with 3 friends. They got totally lost.
Oh,
And to make things worse, their car ended up stuck in a ditch. It was pitch black and they were totally stranded.
that sounds scary.
It gets even crazier. So out of nowhere, these cars just appear. Headlights lighting up everything.
No way.
And these strong young guys get out of the cars and without even saying a word, they just lift their car out of the ditch.
Get out of here. So they were like superheroes or something?
Right. But then, just as quickly as they appeared, they vanished.
No way.
Gone. Dr. Comas and her friends looked back and there was nothing. No cars, no guys, nothing.
That sounds like something out of the Twilight Zone.
I know, right? You want to just dismiss it as like a made-up story, but Dr. Comas is a serious scientist,
Right.
She's respected in her field. So this experience, and the one from her childhood, really set her on this path to explore consciousness and these like other realms of existence.
It's interesting you say that because it reminds me of things people who've had NDEs talk about, like encountering these beings.
You think there's a connection?
Maybe. Do you think so?
Well, Dr. Comas actually compares her experience to this NDE from a surgeon named Dr. Mary Neal. She nearly drowned in a kayaking accident, and during her NDE, she described encountering these spiritual beings too.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, and they offered her comfort and guidance.
Wow. It's so interesting how these stories from totally different people have these common threads.
Right?
The beings, the feeling of connection to something bigger, overwhelming peace and love. It seems like a pattern in NDEs.
It's almost like these experiences are giving us glimpses into another dimension of reality.
I like that. Glimpses into another dimension. So what do we do with those glimpses?
Well, Dr. Comas believes that this realm that people seem to access during NDEs, it might also be accessible through things like meditation and deep breathing.
So you don't have to almost die to experience it.
Right. She believes it's about quieting the mind,
Okay.
connecting to a deeper level of consciousness.
I'm starting to sense a theme here. So how do we actually do that? Like, for people like me who are total newbies to meditation, what do we do?
She talks about this framework for understanding how meditation can actually help you quiet the mind.
Okay.
You can use it to reduce stress and cultivate like a deeper sense of awareness.
Cool.
She even talks about specific breathing techniques. They can have huge effects on our well-being.
Really? So it's not just about sitting there and trying to think about nothing.
No, not at all. It's like a practice, you learn and practice these techniques.
Oh, okay.
And she's big on consistency, making it part of your everyday routine.
So it's like exercise or eating healthy.
Exactly. The more you practice, the stronger that connection gets.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
But for some people, meditation feels really intimidating.
Yeah, I get that.
Are there other things Dr. Comas suggests? Maybe something simpler for people to start with?
Oh, for sure. She loves the idea of practicing gratitude.
You mean just like being thankful for things?
Exactly. She talks about taking the time to appreciate the good stuff, no matter how small.
I can dig it.
Shifting your focus from what you don't have to what you do have.
Right. It's like appreciating the little things.
Exactly. It helps you feel more content and connected.
It sounds like she's talking about mindfulness too.
Definitely.
Like being present and enjoying life as it happens.
Exactly. And she believes that choosing to focus on gratitude, it can make you so much happier and healthier. It's about recognizing that even with all the ups and downs, life is a gift.
That's a really good point. It's so easy to get caught up in the negative stuff.
Right.
We forget to appreciate what we have. Dr. Comas is reminding us to slow down and really enjoy the moment.
Totally. It's about finding the good, finding the silver linings, and appreciating life. It's something anyone can do, Doesn't matter what your life is like.
It's about perspective, choosing to see the good instead of dwelling on the bad.
Exactly. And Dr. Comas argues that focusing on gratitude can lead to a much more fulfilling and meaningful life. She's saying, hey, even with all the ups and downs, life itself is a precious gift.
Yeah. It's a powerful message in today's world,
Sure.
It's easy to forget that. Dr. Comas seems to be saying, true fulfillment, it comes from being present and grateful for what we already have.
It resonates with me, that's for sure. It's about focusing on the good, finding the silver linings, and being thankful. It's something we can all do, no matter what our lives are like.
It's not about pretending that everything's perfect. It's about choosing to focus on the good things.
Yeah, finding those moments of beauty, those connections, even when things are tough. You know, it's interesting to think about Dr. Comas's background as an anesthesiologist.
Yeah.
It must really inform her perspective on NDEs.
Oh, totally.
She's working with life and death, you know, right there on the front lines.
It's true. It's like she's got this inside view of how consciousness works with the body.
Yeah, during life and as it moves beyond the physical.
I wonder if seeing those near-death situations firsthand is what got her interested in NDEs in the first place.
Well, she did mention how her early experiences with patients in critical conditions kind of made her question the whole consciousness is just a product of the brain thing.
Really?
Yeah, she'd see patients who were aware in ways that didn't make medical sense.
That's fascinating. It makes sense, though. Sometimes it takes those experiences that shake up our thinking to lead to big breakthroughs.
Exactly.
And Dr. Comas is definitely challenging what we thought we knew about consciousness.
It's not enough for her to just record these experiences. She wants to understand them, find that bridge between science and spirituality.
I love that. And she's not afraid to ask the big questions, the ones that a lot of scientists might avoid.
That's what makes her work so cool. It's not just about data, it's about digging into the deeper meaning of these NDEs.
Exactly. And not just understanding them,
Right.
but figuring out what we can learn from them and how we can actually use those lessons to live better lives.
She makes it clear that the wisdom from NDEs, it's not just for a select few.
Right.
It's for everyone, if you're willing to do the work.
The work.
Yeah, to cultivate that peace, that love, that connection, the things that people talk about after NDEs.
So she's saying we don't have to almost die to experience those things.
Right, you can develop them through meditation, through gratitude, even just being more present in your day-to-day life. It's like a roadmap for growth, for spiritual awakening without the near-death part.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
It's really empowering.
Yeah.
We have more control than we think.
Exactly. We can choose to live more consciously with more compassion.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what's happening around us. We have that power.
We're not just along for the ride. We're actually in the driver's seat.
Exactly. And when we cultivate those qualities, we're not just benefiting ourselves, we're making the world a better place too.
It's like our actions have this ripple effect. They can actually influence the world around us.
Exactly. It's all connected, Our
Yeah.
thoughts, emotions, energy, it all makes a difference.
So when we choose love over fear, gratitude over negativity, connection over isolation, we're actually helping to create a better world.
That's the idea. Dr. Comas is showing us that we're all part of something much, much bigger.
It's a beautiful vision. It's inspiring to think that we can each play a part in making that happen. This conversation has been incredible.
Yeah.
I'm feeling so much possibility right now. It's like Dr. Comas has opened up a whole new way of seeing the world for me.
Me too.
There's so much mystery, so much magic.
It's like her work awakens something in us.
Yeah.
It challenges how we think and opens us up to new ways of experiencing life.
It's not just about understanding NDEs, it's about understanding ourselves, our place in the universe.
I like that. Our place in the universe.
Well, listeners, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into near-death experiences with Dr. Luján Comas. We've explored the science, the spirituality, and the power of these incredible events. We've learned about non-local consciousness, the importance of gratitude and mindfulness, and how these experiences can truly change our lives.
And if you're feeling inspired, keep exploring.
Yeah.
Dive deeper into Dr. Comas's work.
There are so many resources out there.
It's a whole world waiting to be discovered.
So keep asking questions, keep searching for answers.
Keep your heart open to all the mysteries that life has to offer.
And remember, live each day with a sense of wonder, with gratitude. Make it count. Thank you for joining us for this episode of What Science is Hiding from You, brought to you by Viral Impact AI.
Until next time, keep exploring.